Good evening. My name is Rochelle Nembhard. I dedicate this talk tonight to my husband who couldn't be here because of borders and visas. Borders of any kind, physical or mental, divide humanity from itself. Blackness, a space of infinite possibilities. Blackness is not a void, but a never-ending possibility to create. Blackness is the birthplace of the imagination, the birthplace of creation. I am an artist. Imagination is my currency, creation my weapon. Everything we see around us in the physical realm was birthed from the innate power of the imagination. Imagination has the power to transcend borders, time, race, and culture. It has the power to birth new realities while simultaneously shaping the future we wish to move towards. I'd like to share with you this evening that imagination is a powerful precursor for creating possibilities. It has reshaped our understanding, created new opportunities, and in fact, it has become positively disruptive. Technology is a prime example of this disruption. Think about decentralized currencies like Bitcoin, who have removed the need for central banks. Revolutions like the Arab Spring, which have caused institutionalized leaders to flee. Borders closing just as social media is opening them. Uber blurring national boundaries just as government is defining them ever so rigidly. Let us be clear. Statism, natism, identity, and nationalism are in the midst of a comeback. In 1989, the year I was born, there were 15 border walls in the world. Now there are 77 and counting. This tension is creating a new opportunity for possibilities in which to initiate a new narrative and a new response. And in my world, that response represents a third space. So how does this relate to the world in which myself and my creative partner have built? How have our individual lives interwoven together to create a story not only of love, but of imagination and possibility, but most importantly, a space for us to freely exist in? We both come from a place of displacement and migration. I was born in the industrial heartland of Birmingham, England, to first-generation British-Jamaican parents. My lineage, like so many others, was taken from the continent, dispersed around the world, and fragmented into 1,000 pieces. When I was 3, my mother had a powerful premonition in a series of dreams that her and my father should give everything up and move to the African continent. You can only imagine my father's response to this. They were a young couple, and they were just newlywed and just getting on their feet. But there I found myself, 1 year later, boarding a plane with my mother, father, and brother, with 60 pounds and nothing to our name, but a whole lot of dreams. Parallel to this story, another story was being shaped and molded. Yannick was born in exile in Belgium to an Angolan mother and a Congolese father who were displaced fleeing from former Zaire, now known as the DRC in Central Africa. Ironically, both parents landed to South Africa in 1994 at the dawn of the Rainbow Nation democracy. Little did we know that this was the individual threads that were being interwoven together to create a third space. You see, we were two sides of the same coin with two different contextual relationships to this new soil framed home. In the country of my heritage, Jamaica, I was considered foreign. And in the continent of my ancestors that I now inhabited, I was equally considered foreign. Yannick, while born in Belgium, was not Belgium enough, was not European enough. And while we both grew up in South Africa, we were not South African. As I said, we were two sides of the same coin, with two different contextual relationships to this new soil framed home. But you see, home is a double-edged sword. For home can accept and simultaneously reject you. Even at its best, home can feel foreign. This double-edged sword is what W.E.B. Du Bois terms as double consciousness. He uses this term to describe an individual who lacks a unified sense of identity. But it was this very double-edged sword that brought us to the realization that the place in which we would fit would not exist until we created it. Our circumstances became the perfect breeding grounds to consciously push back and create something new, our third space. Post-colonial theorist Homi Bhabha describes the third space as a space that arises between the colliding of cultures, which in turn gives rise to something different and something new, something unrecognizable. It is this in-between borderless space where new cultural identities are formed, reformed, and constantly in a state of becoming. You see, we were in search of a new culture, one that was not defined by the place we were born, but rather where we were going. We refused to adopt imposed fixed narratives and identities about ourselves and the so-called dark continent that we inhabited. Instead, pushing back and creating new responses and new narratives which would represent the true contemporary diverse experience of the continent that so many of us and the diaspora inhabited. Noirwave became the vehicle in which to express ourselves freely. Initially, Noirwave became the name of a genreless sound and new style of music that combined all of Yannick's different cultural influences together. The result amounting to a beautiful convergence of seemingly diametrically opposed parts, much like our own hybrid identities. It quickly morphed into an aesthetic as I took the role of creative director and helped build visual worlds to these sounds with the help of so many inspiring artists. One of them being artist Lena Iris Victor, who was fundamental in shaping the visual narrative of Noirwave. She created this beautiful image of myself and Yannick. It then has slowly transformed into a state of mind and ongoing philosophy that allows us to explore the fragmented but powerful identity of today's African diaspora. The power of sound and visuals combined created a new world of possibilities in which not only we could dream, but freely exist and live out our borderless philosophy. And so, arising against a backdrop of international anxieties concerning borders, xenophobia, nationhood, and globalization, Noirwave offers its followers a citizenship which rejoices in the freedom of movement physically and creatively. It does not seek to rewrite the African narrative, but to offer a new one that represents the true contemporary diverse experience across this great continent and beyond. The following Noirwave Manifesto is an expression of the third space we have created. It is a transcendent catalyst for change. First, let us know our name. Noir represents the infinite space before us, the true source of creation, the beginning and the end. Creative alchemists, we recognize that blackness is not a void, but a never-ending possibility to create. It is limitless, boundaryless, timeless, but most importantly, it is borderless. Wave signals the energy and reach of this movement. It possesses the power to instigate change. Secondly, let us remember who we are. Followers of Noirwave, you stand on the shoulders of diaspora, refugees, and immigrants. You are because they have been. You rejoice in a borderless philosophy for creative immigrants globally. You conform only to nonconformity. Then let us remember what we do. Followers, we sing so our global contemporaries can hear that a new time is here, a time of exodus, of departure. We herald a movement towards a new future for contemporary culture. We dance so our feet may traverse your borders, opening new worlds in our minds over and above the existing ones laid out before us. Our feet know no boundaries, no limits to expression. Rebelling against a world of borders, we move only to the sound of cultural clashes. We travel to resurrect ancient knowledge systems, symbols, visuals, and sounds, while simultaneously attracting futuristic ones. Finally, let us know who we welcome, so that we may recognize our people as we travel dispersed around this world. Noirwave offers its followers a citizenship which rejoices in the freedom of movement physically and creatively. Noirwave only houses victims of forced displacement. It reclaims its refugees. Its followers are a people whose concept of home is endless, inclusive, and universal. The greatest power of our generation is the capability to disrupt. The greatest power of our opportunities is the power of our creativity. The place in which you fit will not exist until you create it. I challenge you all this evening to create your third space. Thank you.